um, interesting things.
Okay, so you are going to work with Arduino.
Yeah.
And you're saying that Arduino is a
Um,
combination of programming
and
and
electronics.
electronics.
Yeah.
Electronics is in the basic education curriculum. It runs through a curriculum from the basic level to the junior high school, even to the senior high school.
Yeah.
And they also do programming in computing. So putting the two together, experimental, we promote applications. So we don't just teach the learners content, but we expect that whatever they learn, they apply it outside the classroom. So that is what he's going to take us through. And I believe you're going to build certain things for us. What are you going to produce?
Okay, so because this is just a showcase, I'm going to do a traffic light, like simulate how the normal traffic lights you see on the road, how it works with the Arduino and the LEDs here.
Okay, so he's going to produce traffic lights, and we want to see how he does that. Okay, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, so we know that in basic electronics we have schematics. Before you start building something, you need to get a schematics to build it. So a simple circuit is made up of an LED, a light source. It can be the old incandescent bulbs or the new LEDs, a power source, and then cables to connect this together. Good. So what we have here is the same thing. This is our cable, the cable here, and then this is our light source. These are three LED lights, red, green, and then yellow. And then our power source, we are picking power from this Arduino board here. This is our power source. So I'm going to connect it without any program. Then I want you to see how it works.
So the connection.
Okay, so I want you to pass this along. Look at the connections. You realize that the red and black wire are connected to ground and 5 volt. Please pass it around. So look at the connections on the board here. You see that the red and gold are connected to the 5 volt power source. Focus on the red and black wire where they are connected to. If you look on the Arduino board, you see they are connected to the 5 volts and the ground. I'll ask a question, so pay close attention. Okay, so thank you very much. So now I'm going to give it power and you see what happens. Now, you see, only the red is on, as you can see. So this is how our basics electronic circuit that we do in school works. So so only the red is on. So it means that this is going to be on until somebody comes to put it off. So if there's nobody to put it off, it's going to be on until the battery dies. And since we're not using battery, it means that it will be on forever. So what we are going to do is to give our circuit a little bit of intelligence to tell it to come on for some time and go off. So in order to do that, I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here. I'm going to assume you have a laptop, and I'm going to assume you know something about programming. But don't worry, I'll start from somewhere. So the basics, let's assume I am a computer. I don't know anything. I want you to direct me from where I am to my desk. Remember, any direction you give, I'll follow. So please, who volunteer to direct me to my desk? Okay. Okay. You realize the instructions he gave me were precise. Some were not precise. Those that were not precise made me run into this wall here. So that is how computers are. Computers are very dumb. So, but they execute instructions based on what you give them. If you tell them to go, they will go until something happens. So when they're giving computer instructions, you need to be very precise on how you give them the instructions. So what he just did, the process he just did is called an algorithm. So that it describes the process from me moving from this stage to this stage. So that process is called an algorithm. So and the algorithm is made up of instructions. So the instructions move this step here, move this step here, and all those things. They are the processes that I follow to get there. So the way we talk to computers, we use a language. Every human being, in order for you to understand what I'm saying, I need to use a language to speak to you. So computers are also like that. They also need languages to understand what we are telling them to. But then they don't understand our language. And we also don't understand their language. So there is a middleman there called a computer language that helps us understand each other. So whatever program I write on my laptop here, this one can't understand it directly. So we are going to employ a linguist, like having a chief palace. So this linguist is called a compiler. You don't have to remember the compiler, just remember it's a linguist. Translates what the chief says to the people. So this is the chief, and the people is the. Hello? Yeah, so the people is the Arduino board we have here. So we're going to start programming. So we are going to create a new file. So in Arduino, a new file is called a sketch. So there is nothing in this file. If you look the you see there is a first it's called void setup. So if I want a program to run once, that is it should run and not run again. Like when you set an alarm in the morning, the alarm should run and not run again. This I'll put a program. So what is this part of the program is called a function. When you want to do shitter, you see the process you go through where you have to go and grind the things, and sometimes you have to add the Maggi and everything to. I don't. Do you add Maggi to? Okay, so this you download it from the link. Hello. So do you put Maggi in shitter? You put. You see, Maggi comes pre-packaged. There's everything in there. So in the olden days when there was no Maggi, you have to get your own Maggi. You have to make it yourself, right? Good. So that is what this is for us. This one comes pre-packaged with everything that we need. So we don't have to go and write programs from scratch, everything all over again. You understand? Okay. So we put our, these two things are called functions. They act as Maggi for us. So we don't have to write our own thing again. So,
Okay, please, I want to come in. Yeah, Sandy.
okay.
So, in fact, I want you to go step by step so that viewers can understand. Before anybody decides to do this, do we have to have our computers available?
Yes.
And then after getting your computers, what are you supposed to do?
After getting the computers,
Yes.
you need to download the Arduino app, IDE. IDE is an integrated development environment. It helps you to talk to this guy here.
Okay. So we need the Arduino app,
Yes.
which we have to download from the
Yes,
net,
the Arduino site. Yes.
Arduino side on the
Yes.
computer.
Yeah.
Okay, please
Okay.
go.
Is that okay? So the instructions he gave me, in order for, remember, he at some point he had to repeat the instructions again. Move left, and other he had to move a step forward. So those instructions can be placed into something, a variable. In order for him not to continuously repeat that same statement again, you put it in a variable, or he has to say it. So this, in this case, our variable here is going to look like it's a container that contains things. So like a cup of water. The cup alone is not very useful to us, but a cup with water is useful to us, right? So we're going to, that's what we are going to assume a variable is, a cup with water. So now I have this LEDs here, and I have this Arduino here. In order for me to make this, I need to put the water in the cup. So in our case, the cup here is the pins of the Arduino board. Every has its use. We are not going to go into the detail now. So I'm going to assign every pin that we have. So we have 3 cups here, which are green. Hello? The red, the gold, and then the green. So now we need to put them in water. So the water is the pins I'm going to assign to them. Please, do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Okay, so the first cup is the red cup. And we are putting it in, the water we are putting in it is called 13, like item 13. So that's what we are putting in the first cup, which is the red one. So I don't want to type this all over again, so I'm going to copy and paste. Then I just change the names. So the second cup is the yellow cup. And then who can tell me what the last cup is? So the first one, which is the red one, we put Coke in it. The second one, we put Fanta, and then the last one, we are putting Sprite in it. Correct. Okay, so now we come to this side of the program. So what we are going to do here is, we know we have Coke, we have Fanta, and we have Sprite. So let's assume that I am somebody who has never been to this world before. This is my first time coming to this world. I don't know if we use Coke to light fire or we drink Coke. So now I need to tell, like, how do I say? Remember I said the computer is dumb. So now we need to tell the computer that the Coke is for drinking, not for lighting fire. So we call this interesting function here. So the output means that the pin is sending out a signal. So the output means that we are drinking the coke. We are not using it to light fire. The Fanta, are we drinking or we are using to light fire? The Fanta, are we drinking or it's for fire? We are drinking. I heard if you use Fanta to light fire, it really lights up. Oh. And then the Sprite, fire or it's a Sprite fire. No, we are drinking it. Okay. Okay, so I should read. So from the beginning, we said the computer is dumb. It doesn't understand what you are saying. So we need to give it precise instructions in order for it to do what we want it to do. But then here lies the case: the computer can't speak our language, and we can't also speak the computer's language. So we employ a linguist, which is the Arduino ID, to talk for us. Good. So we input the instructions, which I said is what? We input instructions to the Arduino IDE. That is later translated into the code. So for the Arduino to work. Correct. So the first time we have to introduce a cap and then liquid in the cap. The cap here is the variable that holds the pin for these guys here. So we said our cap is a red cap, and the red cap holds Coke, and then the yellow cap holds Fanta, and then the green cap holds Sprite. Then now we need to tell the computer that the Fanta and the Sprite and Coke are not for lighting fire. They are not kerosene. They are beverages that we are supposed to drink. So now, in this part of the code here, we told the computer that these beverages are for drinking, not for lighting fire. Good. Hold on. Okay, so this is where the real action is going to happen. So this is where we are going to tell it how to move or how to drink the Coke, whether it should take the whole bucket cup and then do like this, or it should sip it nicely. That's how I'm going to tell it how to do it. So the function we use to do this is because we are using the digital pins. It's there are two states in the so digital electronics has two states, either on or off, which is drink or don't drink. You understand? So because we are telling it to drink, we are going to say digital right high, which means that uh, Kweku the up. Hello. Okay. Well, so the digital right high is Kweku drink the coke in the red cup. You understand? Okay. Okay, so now we have told the computer that it should drink the liquid in the red cup. But we didn't tell it how long it should drink it. So it means that it will keep drinking, even if it can, if it will continue drinking until it dies. So now we need to tell it how long it can drink now we need to tell it how long it can drink the thing in the red cup in order to sip it, right? You understand? So we tell it to raise the cup to your mouth for just 2 seconds. You understand? To sip it nicely so that it doesn't do anything to you. So for that, we use a function called delay. So you take the cup to your mouth and then you delay for 2 seconds before you put it down again. Okay. So now we need to tell it to put the cup down after 2 seconds, which is to let the lights go off after 2 seconds. So that's one. Instead of the high in the digital right here, I make it low, which means that the power there should go off. It means I put the cup down. It's okay, you've drank enough. So then we also tell it to also delay for 2 seconds again. So you put the cup down for 2 seconds, and then you take the next beverage, which is the Fanta. That's the yellow LED. You light it for 2 seconds, then you put it down. Then you take the green one for 2 seconds, then you put it down. So that's the same. So, but first, I'm going to just start with the first one here. Okay, so I want you to watch closely. I'm now going to compile the code, which is now I'm giving the paper to the linguist. But first, I need to save it. So I'll save it. Okay. So the linguist has seen the paper. He has read through and he says that what we are facing, there are no mistakes in it. So now he's going to tell the people what they should do. Okay. So I'm sending it to the people. Aha. So if you look closely, you see it comes on for 2 seconds and then goes off. Oh, sorry. We forgot to tell it to put the cap down. Thank you. Ha. So now, aha. So every 2 seconds, it puts the cap down and picks it up again. So we are going to do the same thing for the others. And we are going to repeat, copy and paste. So we are telling it to do the same thing for the sprites too. Okay. So we are giving the sprites and then the Fanta, you're putting them in a cup. We are done. The linguist is going to talk. And yeah, he's talking now. Aha. So you see. So now we can change the frequency at which this LEDs blink. We can change the frequency at which the cup is drunk by varying the time. So for now it's 2 seconds. So let's see what happens when I make it 50 microseconds. So the language says is good. Yeah. You see that blinking fast, fast. You see that because I changed the time, I made it very small. You see that it's blinking so fast. Good. So the applications of this is in the traffic lights we see on the road every time. Has anybody timed the number of minutes it takes for the lights to go on and off in the traffic?
So he has a question. Has anybody timed the traffic lights that we see on the streets? And I think we haven't had that interest to do that. So we always pray that the red should be on so that we can pass. Oh, okay. So it should turn green for us to go. As all right, but then we don't time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. My presenter. I realize the time varies at every junction.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the junction you'll be there for at times 10 minutes before the green goes or whatever. So it varies. At
Yeah.
times 2 minutes, at certain junctions 2 minutes, others 5 minutes, even 10 minutes. But the 10 minutes one is at 37. The BOD doing something too. You'll
10
be there
minutes.
so even at times 20 minutes, you are still there. So it varies. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So
So
she has checked the time for some of the
she said
places.
10 minutes.
Okay.
That's interesting. Okay, so uh, this this here is an application of what we are seeing on the roadside. So what this does for us is that kind of system we're able to build it on small scale, prototype all the electronics you want, do all the mistakes you want to do before we make it big, like that.
Okay.
So there are a lot of things you can do with this LED. For example, the light shows we see on Christmas trees, all those light shows. They use this a similar process to do that.
Okay.
So when you learn something like this, it can help a wide range of problems, but then there is a catch to it, providing you don't stop here. Because when you go to download the Arduino IDE on the site, there are tabs up there. Some are resources, other things. All those tabs contains resources for us to use to learn, to improve ourselves. The good side about all of this is that we do not have to go and do the research to develop all these things again. They're already there. All we have to do is to learn how to use them and understand how to use them,
Yeah.
then use them to solve our problems in our part of the world.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sandy. So I think, in brief, that is what Sandy has produced for us. Now, if we only knew of, seeing traffic lights in town, that is the idea behind the traffic lights. A lot of things are programmed to produce what we see. So at least you can have a fair idea what has, like, yeah, what happens in town. If you want to know more about this, Sunday is available. I think we are running out of time, but I think I'll give you the chance to ask a few questions, just about 2 questions, and later Sandy gives you his address. But he is part of the experimental group. So that is what we do. We train teachers to know some of these things so that we help our learners in the classroom. So a few minutes to receive just 2 questions. So please, if you are ready.
Do a normal traffic light, a normal one for us to have an observation.
Come again?
The traffic light we have there,
Yes.
change the timing for a normal traffic light.
Okay, so
Well, so what is the normal traffic light? What's
The
the
one
timing?
in which you expect it to do what it's supposed to do. A few minutes, you are allowed to go. And
Yes.
then
So 2
you
minutes.
stop.
2 minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
2 minutes.
So that will be 2,000 microseconds.
Okay.
Hey, 20,000.
20,000. The computer doesn't understand our language as he said. So you have to change it into the language it understands. So he wants to copy and paste for both red, yellow, and green, right?
Yeah. The language
Okay,
is
so that is what we are saying.
okay. So you're going to wait for 2 minutes.
Every 2 minutes, it will change.
Every 2 minutes it will change.
Yeah.
But you can ask the other question whilst we wait for it. So. I can just go about it.
All right. Okay. Okay. So I think we've seen what we wanted to see. Any other questions? So the last question. Otherwise, he has another presentation, but because of time, I think we are just left about 15 minutes more. So he wants to talk about it instead of doing the experiment. It will take more than the 15 minutes. We have to finish in 15 minutes.
Okay, so I want you to pass this around. What you're holding is an ultrasonic sensor.
Okay. What does it do?
So ultrasonic sensors, they send out sound waves, and then based on the bounce, what comes back to them, they're able to determine the distance. It's the rice and going to start in your farm. You don't, so you just go to the market and buy it. That's what the libraries are. These libraries contain codes that we just import to make our lives easier. So you don't have to write everything from scratch, from ground up. Yeah. So what the ultrasonic sensor does is it sends out sound waves, and then based on what it gets back, it's able to output a distance for us, the distance for us. I'm going to show you the code, and I'm just want to show you. Yeah. Okay. So something like this. Now, if you come on our decks, you see that there is glasses there, sunglasses there with this on top of it. This is the code that makes it run. This lines of code that makes it run. Now, the main purpose of this code is, uh, so if you look closely, I've calibrated it to extend that at a particular point in time, when there's an obstacle around 40 centimeters, it begins to sound an alarm.
Okay.
So it's like a collision sensing. So cars employ this a very advanced form of this one. So on our decks, you see there, it senses the where the object is, and then it begins to sound the alarm. Based on how close the object is, the frequency of the alarm increases.
Okay.
And I use the same method as I used to tell the delay method I used.
Okay.
That's what I used to decrease or increase the frequency. So Arduino gives us all of these things, and then they make our lives easier. So we don't have to. So, but the thing is, most of the time we end up living there. So we end up living at the safe side of things where we don't explore more. But then there is more to the Arduino systems that we see here. So when we're able to build things like this, we don't just sleep there, but then we go on to other advanced options that are out there. So if you want more explanations, I should tell you.
Okay, so tell us where we can find you and then ask for any further.
So I'm mostly at the Impact Hub. It's at Osu, Akwa J Park. If you get to the Impact Hub, you say you're at the Screw Up Lab. So at the Screw Up Lab, it's a huge maker space. Now, spaces are like workshop for people who like to tinker, people who like to create things. You don't necessarily have to be somebody who likes to do things with your hands to be at the maker space. So even if you are somebody who is just like a business-minded person, you can still come to the maker space. We take your ideas and then we help you bring them to fruition, because most people have ideas, but then they don't know how to bring them to life. So we help in that aspect. And we are located at the Impact Hub. There's a huge banner. That's where we are. If you want to get my email or anything, I'll be at the Siemens stand. You can always come there. The Experimento stand.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Viewers, I think we've come to the end of this particular session. If you want further information, you come to the experimental stand and we will let you know. There are a lot of things we can do with the Arduino, as he has mentioned. Thank you so much for coming. I think he deserves an applaud.
Thank you.